Hi there, in this lesson we're going to look at Pythagoras in a circle type questions that come up in exams all the time. Now before we do that, we'll just have a quick revision of Pythagoras and how to use it. So there's really just two types of Pythagoras problems. There's one where you're trying to work out the longest side, which is called the hypotenuse, and ones where you have to work out the shorter sides. Now there's only one long side on a triangle opposite the right angle, so the other two are shorter sides and therefore use the same technique. So for this first triangle, to work out this longest side, it's really c squared equals a squared plus b squared, but I'm going to speed up a wee bit and just go for x squared equals 3 squared plus 4 squared. You can square them individually, or you can do them both in your calculator at the same time, and you'll pop out with 25, and then square root it to get your answer of 5 centimetres. So that'd be a 3, 4, 5 triangle, actually a Pythagorean triple if you look into that. Now to get one of the shorter sides, well, you have to subtract from one of the larger sides. So instead, so really, if you can use the formula using a or b, a squared equals c squared take away b squared. I'm just going to do it very quickly here and go x squared equals 5 squared take away 4 squared. Again, we're taking away from the longest side to get one of the shorter sides. And that's going to give us 25 take away 16, which is 9. We already, these three triangles are all the same, so we already know the answer is going to be 3 here. If you square root 9, you're going to get 3 as an answer. So that's that side of the triangle there. Now this is, I say again, the same triangle, so we know our answer is going to be 4. So you're just going to do exactly the same thing. Because it's a shorter side, you're going to do 5 squared take away 3 squared. And that's going to be 25 take away 9, 16, then square root it and get 4. Okay, so only add when you're working out the hypotenuse. Any other side, you do a takeaway in Pythagoras. Okay, now the types of questions we're going to look at are types of questions called Pythagoras inside a circular question. They usually involve these two types of questions. You've got a tunnel question, you want to get the total height, and then you've got this kind of pipe question where you want to get the height of the water. Okay, now a couple of parts, naming parts of circles are important here. So we should know that this is called a radius here, but remember the radius can go along like that, it could go across, and it could also go up and down the way or diagonally. Anyway, the radius is a line from the center point to the outside of the circle. It's important to remember that. This line here going to cross in both ones to kind of cut off the circle here, and also to kind of be the top of the water. This is called a chord. And a chord is a line that goes from one side of the circle to the other side, but it doesn't go through the center because that would be called a diameter. So this is actually called a chord. And lastly, a line that comes down like this actually splits this chord in two, and it's at right angles to the chord, and it's called a perpendicular bisector. Bisect means to split something in two, and perpendicular means at right angles. So this line here is called a perpendicular bisector, and we will use that to create triangles to work out the height of each of these kind of examples. Right, let's look at the first example here. Typical example, calculate the height of the tunnel in this diagram. Now, I've named this Pythagoras creating triangles because we need to create a triangle in order to do the Pythagoras. So this height of this tunnel is split into two parts. Okay, if I take this part here, I can create a wee right angle triangle. And if I get this here, and I work that out, and I also have this here, a line straight up, and if I add these two things together, I'm going to get the total height of that tunnel. But let's work on this yellow bit first. Okay, so this yellow bit here, I've got a right angle triangle. I've got 8 as the radius here, which actually means this green bit is 8. Okay, so I've got 8 as the radius centered to the outside of the circle, and this bottom bit is actually only 7. This line is called the perpendicular bisector, and it splits that 14 into 2. So I tend to draw a wee triangle out the side separately and go 8 for the radius, 7 for the bottom bit, and then I'm working at a shorter side in my Pythagoras, so I'm not going to use c. Okay, so I'm going to start with a squared equals c squared take away b squared. That's my starting point. The c is the longest side, which is 8, and the shorter side is 7 here. So I'm going to go a squared is 8 squared take away 7 squared. You can just fire that all in your calculator, and you're going to pop out to be 15, or you could do 64 take away 49. And then square root it, and you're going to get 3.9 meters. Now that's the yellow part. Okay, so that's just this yellow bit here, over there. So to get the total height, we must add on the radius. This is the radius here from the center point to the outside, and also the center point to the outside. Okay, so we want to take a new line, and your height is equal to 3.9 plus 8, and you get 11.9 meters. Okay, the other type of question that you could possibly get in Pythagoras in a circle type questions is this. Now, what we've been asked to do here is calculate the height of the water. The height of the water goes from the bottom of the circle to up here. But firstly, I'm going to work with this triangle here, and I'm going to work out, do exactly the same as before. I'm going to work out this distance here, which is called the perpendicular bisector. It splits this line into two, and it's at right angles. That's how you create your right angle triangle. So I've got 15 as the radius from the 0 to the B there, and also the bottom from C to B is halfway along this 24, so that's only 12. So when I draw my wee triangle out at the side, I just want to use that kind of bit. Okay, so 15 and the 12 there. Now I'm working out a shorter side again, so I'm going to use A. I could use B in my formula, but I'll use A squared equals C squared take away B squared. A squared is 15 squared take away 12 squared. Again, you can type all that in your calculator and get 81. Or you could do 15 squared is 225, take away 144. Square root it, and you're going to get 9 centimetres. So I've worked out this wee yellow bit here is 9 centimetres. Now, I also know that the radius is 15 from that, but the radius also goes all the way to the bottom. Okay, so because the radius goes all the way to the bottom, and that's 15, and the wee yellow bit is 9, instead of doing an add sum this time, if I do a takeaway and I do 15 take away 9, I'm going to get my answer of 6 centimetres. Okay, now that's basically the main two concepts that you're going to get, the types of questions you're going to get. Sometimes they show them on their sides. Okay, so Pythagoras on their side, again, you would work out that bit there, and then you would work out that bit there. Doing exactly the same idea, creating a wee triangle like this. Sometimes you get them upside down, but it's exactly the same idea. I would get that wee bit there, and then I would work out this bit here, and I would create my wee triangle. So it's just kind of same idea, but upside down. And sometimes you get things like this where you do exactly the same thing. Here like this, create your wee triangle, work out your two parts. But this is what they've got here is they've got two of the shapes. So once you get your yellow bit and your green bit, just double it. And those are kind of the main things that you'll come up against.